The world of thought is only a shadow of the real truth, not the truth itself. The mind can be seen as a mirror. It reflects forms, images, and concepts, but it cannot contain the limitless essence of reality. When you are constantly thinking, you are trapped inside this mirror, seeing only reflections and never the source of light itself. Thought is useful as long as it guides you toward understanding, but it becomes a prison when it never stops. The question, what happens when you stop thinking, is not simply about silence or relaxation. It is about stepping beyond the mirror into the boundless ocean of being. When thought ceases, the veil that separates you from reality begins to dissolve. In that moment, you no longer see the world through the filter of me and mine, this and that. Instead, you experience the unity of being. Stopping thought is not emptiness, but fullness. Fullness of awareness, fullness of presence, fullness of reality flowing through you without interruption. In that state, you realize that your personal mind was never the true knower. It was only a tool. The real knowing belongs to the heart, and the heart knows without thought. The heart sees without reflection because it is directly connected to the source. To stop thinking is not to lose yourself, but to find your true self beyond the limits of intellect. It is to awaken to the truth that was always present, but hidden behind the endless chatter of the mind. When the mind is constantly moving, it builds walls around the heart. Thoughts multiply like waves on the surface of the ocean, rising and crashing endlessly, but never touching the stillness of the depths. Most people mistake these waves for reality. They live from one thought to another, one worry to the next, one plan after another, and they never realize that beneath all of this noise lies a silence more real than any idea. The truth is, thought cannot capture reality. It can only describe fragments of it. Imagine a man who spends his whole life describing water without ever drinking it. His words may be beautiful, his descriptions detailed, but his thirst will never be quenched. This is the state of a mind lost in thinking, always describing, analyzing, comparing, but never truly touching what is. When thinking stops, even for a moment, the walls of this prison begin to crack. You feel a gap between thoughts, like a doorway opening toward infinity. In that opening, you sense something vast, timeless, and alive. It is not bound by language, not bound by memory, not bound by the limits of logic. It simply is. To live in that state is to be free from the weight of the past and the fear of the future. You enter into the eternal now, the only place where life actually exists. In this way, stopping thought is not about becoming dull or empty. It is about awakening to the fullness of life that has always been here, waiting behind the noise of the mind. When thought finally grows silent, what remains is not darkness, but clarity. It is as if the dust on a mirror has been wiped away, and suddenly the reflection is no longer distorted. In silence, you begin to perceive reality without the filters of judgment, fear, or desire. What you see is not just the world outside, but also the world within. You recognize that your essence is not your opinions, not your memories, not even your personality, but something far deeper, something that has been silently watching all along. This is the witness, the inner awareness that does not think, yet knows. It is present before every thought arises, and it remains after every thought fades. When you stop thinking, you realize that you are not the storm of your mind, but the sky in which the storm appears. Thoughts may come and go, but the sky remains untouched. This recognition transforms everything. The problems that once felt heavy lose their grip because you no longer identify with the noise of the mind. You see thoughts for what they are, passing clouds. And in that spaciousness, a new kind of intelligence awakens, one that does not rely on effort or analysis. It is an intelligence of direct knowing, a wisdom that comes from stillness itself. Many people fear silence, thinking it will make them empty. But in truth, silence fills you with a presence so rich that no thought could ever describe it. In that state, you realize you are never separate from existence, never outside the flow of life. You were simply distracted by the endless chatter of the mind. Silence, therefore, is not the absence of life. It is the beginning of real life. When thought stops, a new kind of perception awakens, one that does not depend on analysis, comparison, or memory. It is a direct experience of reality as it is, without labels or divisions. The world no longer appears fragmented into good and bad, mine and yours, past and future. Instead, everything is seen as part of a continuous, living whole. In this state, even the simplest moments carry profound depth. A breeze brushing your skin, the rhythm of your heartbeat, the light shifting across a room. All of it is alive, vibrant, and inseparable from you. Thought, which once tried to control and categorize life, falls silent, and what remains is a pure receptivity. This is not passive observation, it is active presence. You feel the pulse of existence flowing through you, as if life itself is speaking directly to your being. Time loses its rigid structure, and the distinction between self and other begins to dissolve. You realize that the sense of I was a construct of thought, and beyond it lies an awareness that embraces everything without judgment. In this openness, love, compassion, and understanding arise naturally because they are not generated by the mind. They are expressions of being itself. Fear, doubt, and anxiety, which relied on constant mental activity, lose their grip, and a profound peace fills the gaps where thoughts once dominated. Stopping thought does not remove life or diminish experience. Rather, it deepens it, allowing you to witness the richness of existence directly. The subtle, quiet intelligence that emerges in this state guides every action effortlessly, revealing that true wisdom is not calculated or forced, but naturally present in stillness. In essence, stopping thought is a journey into the heart of reality, where the mind rests and the soul awakens to its own boundless nature. To stop thinking is not merely an exercise in silence. It is a profound turning inward that reveals the hidden layers of existence. When the endless chatter of the mind ceases, you realize that thought was never the source of life. It was only a veil, a filter through which reality appeared fragmented. In that quiet, the heart and awareness awaken, and a deeper truth unfolds. You are not separate from the world, nor from the flow of life itself. This realization transforms the way you perceive everything. Ordinary moments become extraordinary because you are no longer distracted by endless mental patterns. Joy, sorrow, love, and even suffering are experienced more fully, not because they are amplified, but because your awareness is no longer fractured by constant thinking. The mind, once restless and consuming, now serves its purpose as a tool without controlling your perception or defining your reality. In this state, clarity and wisdom arise naturally, not through effort, but through presence. You begin to act with intention, guided by an intelligence that is not calculated but intuitive, a knowing that transcends reasoning. Life ceases to be a series of problems to solve or judgments to make. It becomes a flowing, interconnected dance of awareness and experience. The stillness that emerges is not emptiness, but a fertile ground from which insight, creativity, and understanding naturally bloom. In the silence beyond thought, you touch the eternal, the unchanging essence that was always present behind the fluctuations of mind and form. Ultimately, stopping thought is the path to discovering your truest self. The self that is not defined by ideas, worries, or identities, but by direct experience, boundless presence, and an intimate connection with the very heart of existence. It is in this awakening that life reveals its deepest mystery. That stillness is not absence, but the purest form of being.